Right now, you're probably thinking about someone who isn't in this room. Maybe it's a coworker who got promoted too fast, a friend who's dating someone terrible, or that celebrity who just did something absolutely unhinged. You didn't plan to think about them. They just popped into your head, uninvited, bringing a little rush of judgment, curiosity, or maybe even glee. That ordinary little mental habit, that reflexive curiosity about other people's business, is one of the oldest things humans do. It's older than writing, older than farming, older than cities, kings, or the wheel. The question is, when did we start doing this? And more importantly, why? Let's go back to the beginning. And I mean the beginning. About 30 million years ago, the first primates appeared. They lived in groups because groups meant safety, food sharing, and survival. But group living came with a problem. You had to get along with everyone. And getting along meant investing time in relationships. For most primates, that investment looked like this: hours and hours of picking fleas, dirt, and dead skin off each other's fur. Social grooming. It's relaxing, it builds trust, and it creates alliances. Primates spend up to 20% of their waking time doing it. That's a lot of bug picking. But here's the thing, grooming has a limit. You can only groom one primate at a time. And as our ancestors' groups got bigger, from around 50 individuals in chimpanzee troops to something closer to 150 in early humans, grooming stopped being efficient. There simply weren't enough hours in the day to personally pick the fleas off 150 people. So our ancestors faced a problem. How do you maintain social bonds when you can't physically touch everyone? Enter Robin Dunbar. In the 1990s, this British psychologist dropped a theory that still makes people's heads spin. Language didn't evolve so we could describe the weather or coordinate a hunt. Language evolved so we could gossip. Think about that. Dunbar argued that gossip is the human version of social grooming. Instead of physically picking parasites off each other, we verbally pick through information about each other. Who's reliable? Who's cheating? Who's a good ally? Who's a terrible hunter? Who you definitely should not marry. It's the same function: bonding, trust building, alliance formation. Just delivered through words instead of fingers. And here's the kicker. You can gossip with multiple people at once. One juicy story, shared around a fire, can strengthen bonds with half a dozen people simultaneously. That's way more efficient than grooming. So language, the thing we think of as humanity's greatest achievement, may have started as a tool for talking trash about people who weren't there. Same. Yeah, I'd pick the gossip too. But wait. If gossip is just verbal grooming, why does it feel so good? In 2017, researchers at the University of Pavia decided to find out. They gathered 22 women, hooked them up to monitoring equipment, and had them gossip. The results were striking. Gossip triggered a significant spike in oxytocin, the love hormone, the cuddle chemical. Oxytocin is the same hormone released during mother-infant bonding, during sex, and when we touch people we care about. Gossiping literally gives your brain the same warm, bonding sensation as a hug from someone you love. And it's not just oxytocin. Other studies have found that gossip activates the ventral striatum, a key part of the brain's reward system. That's the same region that lights up when you eat chocolate, win money, or hear good news about yourself. So here's the full picture. Gossip is chemically rewarding. It makes you feel connected. It lowers stress hormones like cortisol, especially if you're someone who naturally enjoys it. No wonder we can't stop. Now let's travel forward in time. Way forward. To Mesopotamia, around 1500 BC. Archaeologists have uncovered cuneiform tablets, clay slabs etched with wedge-shaped writing, that contain some of the oldest recorded gossip in human history. What were they gossiping about? Sex scandals, of course. One tablet chronicles a Mesopotamian mayor having an affair with a married woman. 3,500 years ago, a local politician caught cheating, and someone took the time to write it in clay. This wasn't just idle chatter. In ancient Mesopotamia, gossip wasn't always private. It was sometimes formalized in public records, scratched into clay for all eternity. Imagine your worst rumor preserved in a museum somewhere. That's commitment. But Mesopotamia wasn't alone. In ancient Greece, the poet Archilochus, writing in the 7th century BC, realized there was a market for short, snappy insults that skewered his subjects with style. He was basically the first celebrity gossip columnist. And centuries later, in Rome, the epigrammatist Martial did the same thing, carving sharp-tongued verses about politicians and social climbers. Gossip has always been with us. It's baked into civilization. But here's what makes this so important. Gossip isn't just bonding. It isn't just entertainment. It's the engine of human cooperation. Here's the problem gossip solves. In any group, there are selfish people. Free riders who take benefits without contributing, cheaters who exploit trust, bullies who dominate resources. In small groups, you can spot them yourself. But as groups grew beyond 50, 100, 150 people, you couldn't personally observe everyone's behavior. So how do you know who to trust? Gossip. Gossip spreads reputation information. It tells you who's generous and who's greedy, who keeps their word and who breaks it. And that information allows you to cooperate with the right people and avoid the wrong ones. A 2024 study published in PNAS, the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, argues that gossip evolved precisely because of this reputation dissemination function. When people know their reputation can be spread, they behave better. They cooperate more. They don't cheat because they know someone's going to talk. This is indirect reciprocity. I help you today not because you helped me, but because people will talk about how generous I am, and that reputation will benefit me later. Gossip makes cooperation possible among strangers. It's the original social credit system. Without gossip, there can be no large-scale human society. No cities, no trade networks, no civilization, just small, suspicious bands of people who couldn't trust anyone outside their immediate family. Think about that. Now let's bring it back to you. When you gossip, when you tell a friend about that thing your coworker did, or share a piece of celebrity news, or even just speculate about why your neighbor's car has been parked in the same spot for 3 days, you're not being shallow. You're doing something profoundly human. You're participating in an activity that's been central to our species for at least as long as we've had language, probably longer. You're maintaining social bonds, exchanging vital reputation information, and literally rewarding your brain with a dose of feel-good chemistry. That instinct didn't develop so you could waste time. It developed because, for most of human history, knowing who to trust was a matter of life and death. So here's the full picture. 30 million years ago, primates started grooming each other to build trust. A few million years ago, our ancestors' groups got too big for grooming alone. Language emerged, and with it, gossip as a more efficient way to bond and share information. By 1500 BC, we were writing gossip in clay tablets. By ancient Greece and Rome, we were turning it into art. And today, we spend about an hour a day doing it. Still gossiping, still bonding, still figuring out who to trust. The next time you catch yourself leaning in to hear some juicy news, or feel that little thrill when you share a secret, remember, you're not being nosy. You're not being petty. You're doing exactly what humans evolved to do. You're grooming your social circle with words instead of fingers. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, consider subscribing or don't. Either way, you'll probably tell someone about this video later. And that's exactly the point.